This may be controversial, but Disney might create even better villains than heroes. Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 Disney villains. For this list, we'll be looking at the most compelling and memorable baddies from Disney's animated movies, excluding films that were a collaboration with Pixar.
You sly dog! You got me monologuing!
Number 20. Queen Grimhilde, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Live in the magic mirror, come from the farthest space. Through wind and darkness I summon thee.
You may not have known that she has an actual name, but the evil queen from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is one of the OG Disney villains. Sure, the movie came out in the 1930s, but that doesn't stop this baddie from being absolutely terrifying and totally iconic.
But to make doubly sure you do not fail, bring back her heart in this.
She's technically the first Disney villain ever, as far as their full-length animated movies go, and her bit with the poisoned apple will go down in history as one of the most memorable moves in any Disney film. In her witch form, she's about as scary as they come, and you'd better believe we spent our whole lives being wary of every apple we saw after viewing this movie. Number 19. Professor Ratigan, the Great Mouse Detective.
We are about to embark on the most odious, the most evil, the most diabolical scheme of my illustrious career.
While some Disney villains aren't exactly the sharpest tools in the shed, Professor Ratigan from the criminally underrated The Great Mouse Detective is actually pretty great at coming up with dastardly plans. Like so many of his peers, however, he does seem to choose sidekicks who are more hindrance than help. Voiced by the storied actor Vincent Price, who was known for his work in the noir genre, this performance is creepy and gave us all nightmares as kids.
Bravo! Bravo! A marvelous performance.
The fact that he stayed calm, cool, and collected until absolutely losing it was what made him so unpredictable.
Oh, you want to lighten the load. Excellent idea.
Number 18. King Candy, also known as Turbo, Wreck-It Ralph.
Hello, my loyal subjects! Have some candy!
Disney entered into uncharted territory with 2012's Wreck-It Ralph, exploring a setting that felt fresh and unlike your classic House of Mouse fantasy. Taking place in the world of video games, the film features a surprise antagonist in King Candy.
And when they see her glitching and then twitching and just being herself, they'll think our game is broken. We'll be put out of order for good.
While at first he seems to be the benevolent ruler of the game Sugar Rush, he is eventually unmasked as Turbo, the much-feared villain who wreaked havoc on other games. Unlike some of the villains from older films, Turbo actually has understandable motivations and isn't just being evil for its own sake.
I'm Turbo, the greatest racer ever! And I did not reprogram this world to let you and that Holocaust riddled warthog take it away from me!
Number 17. Shan Yu, Mulan. If you're asking which Disney villain freaked us out the most when we were younger, Mulan's Shan Yu would definitely feature high on the list.
Perfect.
The leader of the Huns wants to take over China and does not care how many people are killed along the way.
The quickest way to the Emperor is through that pass. Besides, the little girl will be missing her doll. We should return it to her.
Considering this is actually a war movie, this genocidal villain has a tone of seriousness that many others in the Disney canon lack. Is there any Disney moment more terrifying than when Shan Yu's hand bursts out of the snow after he's supposedly been buried in an avalanche? We think not. Number 16. John Ratcliffe, Pocahontas. Much has been said about potentially problematic tropes used in Disney's retelling of the story of Pocahontas, and there's no denying that the movie's villain, Governor Ratcliffe, is a blatant racist.
It's the gold! They have it, and they don't want us to take it from them. Well, I'll just have to take it by force then.
He dehumanizes the native population of the New World and attempts to claim their land for his own, portraying the very true history of the colonization of America.
This is my land! I I make the laws here. And I say, anyone who so much as looks at an Indian without killing him on sight will be tried for treason and hanged.
He's clearly a despicable character who doesn't put any value on the human lives of the members of the Powhatan tribe, asking his men to kill them on sight.
They're savages, savages, dirty shrieking devils. Now we sound the drums of war.
Number 15. Mother Gothel, Tangled. It's good to know that even in their more recent movies, Disney can create frightful and memorable villains.
Mother knows best. One way or another, something will go wrong, I swear.
In Tangled, Rapunzel is imprisoned in a tower by a woman pretending to be her mother, known as Mother Gothel.
You are not leaving this tower! Ever!
In actuality, she kidnapped Rapunzel when she was a young child and is stealing her magic in order to remain young. The way Mother Gothel manipulates and essentially gaslights our young heroine is abusive and difficult to watch, acting as though she's actually protecting her faux daughter from the dangerous outside world.
I tried to warn you what was out there. The world is dark and selfish and cruel.
Number 14. Captain Hook, Peter Pan. Plenty of Disney villains are pure evil, but there's something about Captain Hook that makes us sympathetic towards him. Sure, he's out for revenge against a literal child, but that child did cut his hand off and feed it to a crocodile. So you can't say his actions are totally unjustified.
Did Pan show good form when he did this to me?
On top of having an understandable motivation for his dastardly deeds, there's also a strong element of humor to Captain Hook, which makes us love him even more.
I'll get you for this, Pan, if it's the last thing I do.
I say, Captain, do you hear something?
We can't get enough of a villain with a good weakness, and Hook's fear of the sound of the ticking clock gets us every time.
I'll do anything you say.
Well, all right. If you say you're a codfish.
I'm a codfish.
Number 13. Prince Hans, Frozen. Disney sure knows how to write a plot twist, and one of the best ones they ever created was making Hans the villain of Frozen.
Oh, Anna. If only there was someone out there who loved you.
When he's first introduced, he seems like a handsome prince who will be a love interest for Anna, but as the story unfolds, his real motivations become clear.
I've been searching my whole life to find my own place. And maybe it's the party talking or the chocolate fondue.
He wants to take the throne of Arendelle for himself and is willing to kill in order to do it. This movie teaches the young girls watching it to beware of blindly falling for a guy, especially if he seems like he might be too good to be true.
We would like your blessing of our marriage.
Number 12. Dr. Facilier, the Princess and the Frog. Known as both the Shadow Man and Dr. Facilier, this witch doctor scared a whole new generation of kids in The Princess and the Frog.
You're in my world now, not your world.
I got friends on the other side.
His goal is to take over New Orleans, and is willing to accept help from his friends on the other side in order to achieve it. Like many of the other more modern Disney villains, Dr. Facilier has relatable motivations, having grown up in poverty and learning to loathe the rich.
Besides, you and I both know the real power in this world ain't magic. It's money. Buckets of it.
Bruce W. Smith, who was in charge of the animation for Dr. Facilier, said that he was inspired by two other popular Disney villains, Captain Hook and Cruella de Vil, when creating him.
I'll have the entire city of New Orleans in the palm of my hand. And you'll have all the wayward souls your dark little heart's desire.
Number 11. Dawn Bellwether, Zootopia. Even after all these years, Disney can still surprise us. 2016 Zootopia is a modern fable that puts a mirror up to our current society through a world populated by animals.
You know, it's a real proud day for us little guys.
Bellwether, make room, will you? Come on. Okay, Officer Hops. Let's see those teeth.
Officer Hops, right here.
Though at first, Assistant Mayor Bellwether seems like a meek and timid sheep, it turns out she's essentially the definition of a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Get them.
Because she's felt intimidated by predatory animals her whole life, she dreams of creating a world where prey reigns supreme and predators are treated like the savages they really are. We'll let you figure out the real-world implications here.
Fear always works. And I'll dart every predator in Zootopia to keep it that way.
Number 10. Lady Tremaine, Cinderella. Lady Tremaine, aka Cinderella's wicked stepmother, is one of the most loathed villains in the Disney canon for a reason.
There's the large carpet in the main hall. Clean it.
The cruelty she shows to her stepdaughter is shocking and shameful, showing a clear example of psychological abuse. As if this isn't already bad enough, she locks Cinderella up to prevent her from meeting her prince because of her jealousy concerning her own daughters.
No, please! Oh, you can't do this, you just can't!
Drizella and Anastasia make for great secondary antagonists, but Lady Tremaine still strikes fear in our hearts even 70 years after this film was released.
That's quite enough. Hurry along now, both of you. I won't have you upsetting yourselves.
Number 9. Hades, Hercules. Disney took the classic character of Hades from Greek mythology and turned him into one of the most memorable bad guys in their canon.
How are things in the underworld?
Well, they're just fine. You know, a little dark, a little gloomy, and as always, hey, full of dead people. What are you gonna do?
He stands out from the pack because of his sardonic sense of humor, which makes every scene involving him comical even if he's being incredibly threatening.
Worms! Memo to me, maim you after my meeting.
Actor James Woods absolutely made this character what he is, with his quick and witty delivery adding so much to the role. When the character was originally conceived, they imagined a more traditionally serious figure, but we're so glad they took this unique direction.
And now that I set you free, what is the first thing you are going to do? Destroy him!
Good answer.
Number 8. Gaston, Beauty and the Beast. No one's slick as Gaston, no one's quick as Gaston, no one's neck's as incredibly thick as Gaston's.
As a specimen, yes, I'm intimidating.
Despite the fact that Gaston is one of the most loathsome Disney villains, we can't help but have a certain affection for him because of how hilariously self-involved he is.
Here in town, there's only she who is beautiful as me.
We were always perplexed by his ability to somehow eat 5 dozen eggs every morning, but it sure does explain his physique.
So I'm roughly the size of a barge.
Over the years, and as we've grown up, we've come to appreciate the character even more because his textbook toxic masculinity seems all the more relevant in our modern times.
Were you in love with her, beast? Did you honestly think she'd want you when she had someone like me?
Number 7. Yzma, the Emperor's New Groove.
Bet you weren't expecting this.
Oh, okay.
Not all Disney villains are beloved, but this one captured the hearts of fans despite her dastardly plans. Yzma was once the advisor to Emperor Cusco, but after being fired, she comes up with a plan to take the throne for herself by killing her former leader.
And when it arrives, I'll smash it with a hammer! It's brilliant, 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 I tell you!
Her relationship with her henchman Kronk provides a lot of hilarious moments, making it hard for us to fully take her seriously, despite the fact that she's an attempted murderer.
Pull the lever, Kronk.
Her style and flair for the dramatic certainly don't hurt her appeal either.
Well, I suppose there's time for dessert.
And coffee.
All right, a quick cup of coffee. Then take him out of town and finish the job.
Number 6. Maleficent, Sleeping Beauty. This villain was so compelling she actually got her own live-action movie. If you ask Disney fans which bad guy scared them the most as kids, we wouldn't be surprised if lots of them answered with this evil fairy.
You poor simple fools, thinking you could defeat me, the mistress of all evil.
After she didn't get an invite to the christening of the kingdom's new princess, she decided to bring the royal family down by cursing the young Aurora.
Before the sun sets on her 16th birthday, she shall prick her finger on the spindle of a spinning wheel and die.
While the 2014 film gives her a backstory that makes viewers able to sympathize with her more, it still doesn't take away from how absolutely terrifying she is in the original animated story.
And prove that true love conquers all.
Number 5. Jafar, Aladdin. As Disney entered into its Renaissance period, they leaned more and more on the trope of having their villains be snappy and sarcastic. And it totally worked. Aladdin's nemesis, Jafar, is a prime example of this.
This is my royal vizier, Jafar. He's delighted too.
Ecstatic. I'm afraid, Prince Abubu.
Ababwa.
Whatever.
As the Sultan's advisor, he wields power over the kingdom. And when his sights are set on Aladdin, he will do anything to get what he wants.
Make sure he's never found.
The thought of poor Genie being controlled by Jafar struck fear into our hearts when we were younger, but as the years have gone by, we've come to appreciate the character more for his nuance and his dryly comedic delivery. Number 4. Ursula, the Little Mermaid. Hans Christian Andersen's version of The Little Mermaid, which the Disney movie is based on, featured a sea witch in a relatively minor role, and we could not be happier that the House of Mouse decided to give the character more importance.
King Triton's headstrong, lovesick girl would make a charming addition to my little garden.
This villainess is sultry and sassy, using her feminine wiles to get what she's after, rule over Atlantica. She manages to strike the perfect balance for a Disney villain, being simultaneously fearsome and entertaining.
Come on, you poor unfortunate soul! Go ahead, make your choice.
The moment where she grows into a terrifying monster in the climax is one of the most memorable villain moments in the Disney pantheon.
You pitiful, insignificant fool!
Number 3. Claude Frollo, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. The Hunchback of Notre Dame is totally underrated, likely because it's not exactly a fun-filled romp for kids to enjoy.
Remember what I've taught you, Quasimodo. You are deformed.
I am deformed.
And you are ugly.
And I am ugly.
And these are crimes for which the world shows little pity.
The themes are darker and more sinister than the ones presented in most of Disney's other popular films, and Hunchback has a villain to match. Frollo is creepy in a totally different way than your average Disney baddie, with his behavior taking on an unsettling, lustful nature with Esmeralda.
I feel her. I see her. The sun caught in her raven hair is blazing in me out of all control.
Unlike so many of our other favorite villains, there isn't any lightness to this character, and he's just about the last one that we'd ever want to encounter in real life.
I can save you from the flames of this world and the next. Choose me or the fire.
Number 2. Cruella de Vil, 101 Dalmatians. If she doesn't scare you, no evil thing will.
She's like a spider waiting for the kill.
Roger,
Look
she'll
out
hear
for
you.
Cruella de Vil.
There are some villains we seriously loathe, and some we love to hate, with Cruella fitting squarely into the latter category. The character of Cruella de Vil puts together all of the best things that Disney villains have to offer.
My only true love, darling. I live for furs. I worship furs.
She's glamorous, she's despicable, and she can make you laugh almost as much as she can scare you. Her motivation is a confusing one. Who wants furs that much?
Keep the little beast for all I care.
It's hard to relate to someone who puts so little value on the lives of adorable puppies, which makes her so easy to despise.
I don't care how you kill the little beast, but do it! And do it now!
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions. Queen of Hearts, off with their heads, Alice in Wonderland.
The deuce, you say? Not me? The train! That's enough! Off with their heads!
Chernabog, basically the embodiment of pure evil. Fantasia. Shere Khan, a smooth-talking, man-eating tiger. The Jungle Book.
I know you all right. You're Shere Khan.
Precisely. Then you should also know that everyone runs from Shere Khan.
William Clayton, an evil poacher who gets what was coming to him. Tarzan.
But I couldn't have you making a scene when we put your furry friends in their cages.
Why?
Why? For 300 pounds sterling a head.
Man, are we the real villains here? Bambi.
What happened, Mother? Why did we all run?
Man was in the forest.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Scar, the Lion King. As far as truly awful actions go, it doesn't get much worse than murdering your own brother and blaming his young son for his death, then banishing him from the kingdom.
Run away, Simba. Run. Run away and never return.
Scar fits into the mold of all the best Disney villains. He's pure evil, but he simultaneously doesn't take things too seriously, not being above cracking a joke every now and then.
When I'm king, what'll that make you?
A monkey's uncle.
You're so weird.
You have no idea.
The Nazi imagery used in his song Be Prepared makes for an apt comparison, because Scar's motivations are frighteningly close to one of history's greatest villains.
Point that I must emphasize is, you won't get a sniff without me!
Despite his evil deeds, there's something that makes this lion supremely watchable.
I am the king!
Yes, sire, you are the king.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.